Hello everyone. Welcome to the lecture on behavioral change communication. This lecture is a part of your paper on development communication. In this module, we will discuss the role of communication in the change of behavior and attitude. We have discussed in earlier modules about what is communication. Just to refresh, communication is an exchange of facts, emotions, opinions, ideas using varied media. Communications usually has some reason. It could be to say something and ask something, to form relationships, resolve issues, change to new attitudes, beliefs and behavior, etc. The way we communicate or why we communicate has evolved over a period of time, but basics of communication will always remain the same. Communication done without thinking can be as good as communication not done or worse. It could spoil relationships or even the image of the person involved due to false communication. Communication in work-related purposes need to be strategically managed. So, what do we mean by that? It means a well thought out plan which eventually leads to desired change as designed by the communicator. Communication strategies have their base in psychosocial learning theories of role modeling. Social movements, public service, announcements, and imagined momentum through various communication on channels as seen through mass media. This leads to an individual behaving and living in a certain way. If the communicator understands how an individual behaves and what makes an individual change his or her attitude and beliefs, which in turn changes behavior, it may lead to be better health or reduction in social problems. This in turn can reduce conflicts around the world. Now, learning outcome. In this module, we will discuss concepts of behavioral change communication within development communication and also help in understanding its process and limitations. BCC is an important approach of development communication used mainly in health communication. This module will familiarize you with what and how of BCC within development communication context. Behavior change communication is a process of promoting and sustaining healthy changes in behavior in individuals and communities. Social and Behavior Changes (SBCC) is the systematic application of interactive theory based and research driven communication process and strategized to address change at individual, community and social level. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. According to Johns Hopkins Center for Communication on Programs (CCP), social and behavior communication is most vital for solving the health issues troubling the world. People don't always rationally take decisions, how much ever the standard economic model may suggest. These decisions may not be even be in their favor. The standard economic model of human behavior includes unbounded rationality, unbounded willpower and unbounded selfishness. Behavioral economics takes into account all of these and tries to change the way one looks at human behavior. Investopedia.com defines behavioral economics is the study of psychology as it relates to the economic decision making processes of individuals and institutions. It looks into reasons why people take irrational decisions. It also studies the why and how of people's behavior not matching with the calculations of economic models. Behavioral change communication has been instrument in designing programs for bringing about change in health behaviors. For example, to build widespread programs for the AIDS epidemic. According to the organization's Family Health International FHI Institute for HIV/AIDS based out in the USA, Behavior Change Communication BCC has helped in creating modules that comprise of services and commodities. It includes medical, psychological, social and spiritual facilities. Commodities include condoms, needles and syringes. The most important part of communication here is first communicating simple facts about HIV/AIDS, helping the target audience develop key attitudes, learn new skill sets and receive approach to the required products and services. Only then will the concerned audience are sufficiently equipped to reduce risk levels or bring about a change in their behavior. Theoretical framework of behavioral change communication. As we see in the given model, communication is an independent variable which affects other variables in the framework. Communication is treated in various ways. Communication done to better the skills is termed as instruction. Communication is termed advocacy when it is used to get rid of any external constraints. It is called promotion when it is used to change ideation features. The framework clearly specifies how communication influences intention and behavior through indirectly as it impacts talents, creativity and external constraints. Behavior change communication has its origin in behavior change theories. There are other models and theories which play an important role in developing behavior change communication. The theories include diffusion of innovation modeled by Ever Rogers, stages of change modeled by Prochaska and Norcross, self-efficacy model by Bandura, behavior change communication by World Bank. Diffusion of innovation theory explains the philosophy behind the spread of new ideas and technologies. E. Roger, a prominent American communication theorist and sociologist, and the proponent behind the theory, explains the factors that influence the spread of new ideas across cultures are innovation, communication, channels, time, and social systems. Stages of change was conceptualized by psychologists Prochaska and De Clemente. It was created to help people quit smoking. The stages of change theory is at the very heart of the trans theory. Trans theory model, that is TTM, ProChange, which is a behavior change company, explains the model as an integrative bio-psychosocial model to conceptualize the process of international behavior change. There are various phases to the stages of change. Pre-contemplation. People in this phase are not too keen to change their behavior. For example, quit drinking. Contemplation, as the phrase suggests, at this stage, the person has not started to change his behavior but is intending to do so. Example, stop drinking alcohol in the next few months as told to a family member by doctor. Preparations. The person has made some small changes in his behavior as he has intended to change his behavior. Example, slowly has reduced his alcohol intake. The person has changed his behavior in the past 30 days. For example, quit drinking alcohol. Maintenance. The person has managed to maintain the new behavior. For example, managed to abstain from drinking for at least 30 days. The word trans in the world trans theoretical is worth noting as it incorporates important arguments of other theories to the theory of change, which can be applied to change behavior amongst demographics and geographics across the world. Psychologist Albert Bandura explained self-efficacy as an individual's confidence in his capacity to do well in a given situation or complete a given work. There are various contributing factors which influences change to take place. It is a slow process, sometimes too slow. External as well as internal motivation is essential for any change to happen. Internal motivation is most crucial as the person himself takes complete onus of a change in behavior. Process of behavioral change communication. BCC employs a thorough research-based communication strategy. This ensures communication planning and implementation and evaluation at every stage. Target audiences are selected judiciously. Messages and tools are prepared and pre-tested. BCC program use different kinds of media and communication strategies. Mass media. Radio, television, print, online and other forms of promotions. Interpersonal communication, client and group exchange, community mobilization. All these are put into places for achieving a behavioral change goal with specific objectives. A well-structured BCC strategy involves the right mix of media, who designs behavioral change communication, NGOs, hospitals and private clinics, and the government all play an important role in creating a behavioral change communication program. Stakeholders including families, friends and communities of the target audiences play an important role in supplementing and mobilizing the program towards a fruitful end. Influencers or the opinion leaders too are crucial to the program initiative. They are the village sarpanch, panchayat religious leaders, local leaders and others. To understand how to design relevant behavior change program, one needs to understand the four core concepts of behavioral economics. Priming or framing. This is to make an audience think about an issue through a given frame introduced by the communicator instead of some other point of view. How you use language to speak about options available can influence how people take decisions. As people do make impulsive decisions, they can be further encouraged through sentimental messages. Commitment devices, reminders. Reminders in the form of text are very helpful, serving as recaps. In fact, reminding us of any pledges we made. It has been proven by behavioral economics theories that people make spontaneous decisions based on mental shortcuts. Devices like mobile phone can come to aid of people as they can receive reminders through SMS. So, the receiver need not remember everything for finishing a given code. Once a commitment is made, people can then take the required action. Heuristics. This is a mental guide that helps people take decisions or judgments based on a mental concept of how to do an activity without thinking too much about it. The strategy saves time and helps people take the next course of action. Communication can affect this mental script through demonstrating behavior so that people can have an image in the mind on how to do something without having much to think. Behavioral defaults. This refers to the nudge or the little push needs in a given situation to make one choice over the other. For example, in countries where by default people are organ donors, they have a choice to opt out are considered countries with more number of organ donors as compared to other countries. Limitations of behavioral change communication on approach. There are many limitations to implementing BCC. People are not so open to change. It could be peer pressure or simply the addiction itself. Example, giving up smoking or drinking. They are unable to calculate the risk associated with the risk of an addiction with that of their overall health and could be highly confident of them being in good health in spite of the addiction. Social and other external factors could act as deterrents to leaving an addiction. Maternal health and child care are issues. Various forms of communication approaches may have limitations. Deeply rooted ideas on how a pregnant woman should go in for medical checkups or how should a girl child be raised are affected by social norms and fallacies. These can really be a problem in implementation of BCC strategies. We all know that losing weight can be done by undertaking the right kind of physical activities, but this too can sometimes look impossible in situations like stressful jobs, desk jobs, which hardly involve much mobility, and of course, fat and sugar content in easily available junk food. All these can be a challenge to someone designing BCC strategy to motivate people to lose weight for better health. Limitations can also be in the form of budget allocated to research done for analyzing current situation, for designing specific BCC strategies for the target population. Budget can also be an issue for the resources needed for providing adequate help to the target segment. Accessibility to people, especially in far-flung places, is the biggest constraint. Providing primary education and facilities in terms of school, teachers and materials is a problem in many rural parts of the country. Even bigger challenge is to convince a poor family to let the child go to school who otherwise earns and bring in extra money for the family. Behavioral psychology and economics will continue to play a vital role in making BCC strategies for the target audience, overcoming the challenges in some of the issues mentioned earlier. BCC is a long-term and continuous process. There will be hurdles, and from these hurdles the communication designer gets the cue to make even better communication programs after extensive research. Mindsets are not easy to change, whether of the authorities of the target population, but being consistent in actions will eventually lead to result. Conclusion. Behavioral change communication is a complex process involving rigorous programs and behavioral change methods which can help change certain behaviors and attitudes among the target audience. It has its limitations in implementing due to allocation of resources and to the fact that people are not so open to change, but if implemented with a lot of persistence and time given to the process, positive changes can be observed. For more details, please read the modules carefully and attempt the questions given at the end of each module.